See, there are so many avenues open to them. Once you are a BMS graduate, first of all, how do you get into the course? You have to, of course, it's your NEET percentile that is going to determine what college you get into in the government sector. Private colleges, okay, do you see a rise in wave? You were asking about how has it grown or evolved differently. As compared to how many colleges were offering this course in the 90s, there has been a jump to 7 times at least in the private sector. If private colleges are booming, it means there is a demand. Why would people open? They are not, charitable trust to be offering education if there was no commercial viability. So there lies your answer. If it was not a viable career option, there would not be this many dozens of colleges coming up every decade. Every decade we have had like tripling of the number of colleges, and it was very concerning because that is not the scenario we grew up in. So we were wondering why there is a demand. So there are 3 reasons. As I told you, one reason is because the West has taken an incredible interest in everything that comes from India. After yoga, it was Ayurveda, and medical tourism boomed because of that. So that is one reason. So we started turning around and looking into ourselves. I mean, is there value in this? Why are people coming and asking for this? So maybe that is one reason. Second thing is the awareness and education of the common man is very high now. So I don't think the common man is going to accept anything that is being told to him. He's going to ask questions. Yeah. He's going to ask why. He wants the physician who's handling his health to be more answerable to whatever effect he is having in his body, in his mind, whichever way. And the third thing is that the truth somewhere will surface. You cannot suppress the truth for too long. And if the truth has a conviction of its own, it does not require you or me or somebody in the public to validate it. It does not require for somebody to be convinced. It's going to get convinced. It's going to be enough. The truth is enough to convince. So just because somebody comes and says, I believe in Ayurveda, I do not believe in Ayurveda, there is no requirement for belief here. If it works for you and you still don't believe it, I mean, you have to check yourself. If it does not work for you, you do not have to believe in it. It is just plain logic. You try, if there are so many people coming for Ayurveda, there are so many major hospitals which are opening up Ayurvedic wings, it means that there is a major contribution happening in the health sector. And as I told you, by default, for coughs, for common colds, for fevers, for body aches, for little neurological disorders, for pains, for joint problems, if you start taking this as the by default go-to kind of medicine, then you might not have to go to the higher levels. The second thing, so in spite of what I said, I will still break it down, because people usually, the top 5 areas are psychiatric disorders, neurological included. So neurological disorders of especially motor muscle control, that kind of stuff. The entire gamut of your paralysis, your palsies, all of them will fall under that category. Of course, as I told you, orthopedic medicine, skin, hair, cosmetic industry, I cannot tell you how it has boomed. True. I think we have millions of dollars being invested in our organic sources because of what it can do, and we know what a skin is. See, the thing is, a lot of people might not bother if they have liver cirrhosis because it's not evident. But thanks to how much we are visible on social media now, but if you have a small blotch on your face or on your neck or on your arm, they will spend an average of 10 lakh rupees for it. So because of the mindset of people, I think because of how effective Ayurveda has been as far as skin is concerned, because my MD thesis was about skin, it was about dermatology. I saw what we can do for patients out there. And so I think the interest has boomed because of that too. So skin is definitely one of the areas. And I think the 5th has to be gastroenterological disorders. The way we can handle food, digestion and that entire process, the thing is we were pioneers in that kind of medicine, because everything was about food, right? We have 7 tissue forms, 7 dhatus. So everything begins with food, the rasa dhatu. So I think that is why we were already very well versed in how to handle gastroenterological disorders, intestinal disorders, sometimes even people with digestive issues to the range of where they have no tolerance for lactose. They have no tolerance for a particular type of disease, a particular type of food, a particular type of protein. All those cases also have been handled. I think then the five prime areas, and you have to understand there are very few areas that don't fall under these five. So, any other questions?
No, I think we'll take a pause.
It's too much of it, huh?
No,
I think you should have some coffee.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us more about the opportunities for students who pursue Ayurvedic medicine, if whether that's in India or abroad? What does that look like? What does the journey and trajectory look like for them?
There is good news and bad, actually, as far as Ayurvedic graduates are concerned. We are talking about mainstream graduate courses such as BMS. There are very few countries, but then they're opening up every year. There are about 9 countries which offer actually a license to practice Ayurveda. Mostly in the Middle East. We have Oman, we have Saudi Arabia mostly, where people are paid to be Ayurvedic medical practitioners, not just supervisors or health supervisors like in these spas I'm talking about. So apart from health tourism or anything like that, Ayurveda is mainstream in the Middle East, thanks to a lot of export of doctors and medical expertise as far as Ayurveda is concerned into the Middle East, because it's very close to India, especially Kerala. So a lot of doctors have medical practitioners have gone abroad and is still settled down there, and they can apply for a license to practice there. They can be employed by hospitals there. They can be physicians' assistants as well as physicians themselves in these countries. Apart from that, US by itself, you are not allowed to practice Ayurveda as a medical practitioner. But then you can have a license, as I said, to be a physician's assistant. There are many courses being offered there. There is an MSc for Ayurveda in London, UK, where you can also take a master's in healthcare therapy, as well as you can also do management a course there, and you can manage hospitals, and you can actually give recommendations. So that is what Ayurvedic practice is there for. There are a lot of people who are therapists themselves, which means they are under wellness and supplementary healthcare or nutritional supplements. The FDA has approved a lot of Ayurvedic medicines under food nutrition supplements. So there is heavy practice going on even there, and most of my colleagues have been very successfully practicing Ayurveda, not as a mainstream medicine, because there are a lot of other policy making probably centers or probably levels that are involved to make it a full-fledged mainstream medical healthcare system. It will take a while for that to arrive, but we are already at a place where people go and prescribe Ayurvedic medicine as a nutritional health supplement. They recommend Ayurvedic dietary techniques, lifestyle tips they give them patients, and the success rate has been very high abroad. So what are the other countries, that look into Ayurveda for health actually? There's a lot of demand in countries such as Malaysia and Singapore, because they have something called traditional and contemporary system. So they have, they don't call it alternative medicine, they call it traditional medicine, yes, and complementary healthcare. So this falls under that category in our Far Eastern countries like Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, all of them. And then we also have Germany, which offers a license for BMS graduates to practice, but then everywhere they will have to go through the other skill sets, which is they will have to go through their PR. Of course, in Canada, I have heard my colleagues having taken, there is a speed, fast track happening for a graduate in BMS who has had a few years of experience. They can get a permanent resident category there and it is recognized as a medicine. Also in Germany, some European countries are also opening up for Ayurvedic graduates, but these are the happening countries. Also Australia and New Zealand. There is a AAA there, a mode which the Ministry of Ayush in India is collaborating with. So they actually endorse Ayurvedic graduates to be accepted as employees in various systems, which is a very encouraging thing that is happening in this decade especially. So these are the prospects abroad, and for people in US, in the US, in Canada, in UK, in Australia, in New Zealand, of course, excuse me, even in the Indian subcontinent, like in Nepal, Pakistan, also there are Ayurvedic graduates practicing, because it's not considered of Unani or the existing systems that are already prevalent there. It's already accepted in these places. So, apart from the Middle East, which where Ayurveda is really booming, and the even the monetary returns are very high for Ayurvedic physicians, especially BMS graduates there. So they do not have to do a watered down version like they have to do in America or in the European countries. Also, of course, Indian subcontinent, as I mentioned, Pakistan, Nepal, Sri Lanka too. Ayurveda is practiced as such, just the way we are practicing in India. But they are not lucrative options because of the economical conditions there. That is the reason the other countries have been cited. And the next decade is going to open up a lot more possibilities, because the Ministry of Ayush in New Delhi is working in collaboration with most of these countries' health departments and their ministries of family welfare and health, to make sure that Ayurveda has a prominent position, and even at least as or complementary or alternative medicine, if not mainstream. So it's the scenario right now is very encouraging for BMS graduates, which is the reason there is 100% occupancy in almost all of Ayurvedic government hospitals, from the patient side, and also the filling up of the seats has been very rapid as far as Ayurveda is concerned. Because probably the relatives of these students who are staying abroad have been sensitizing them to the demand that has been that's really peaked over the last decade or so, much more in the last 1.5 decades than any. So it's a very great time for Ayurvedic students. And also, I would like to finish by saying it's not just the graduate and postgraduate course. It is also, there are diplomas available. The therapists are very high in demand. I will venture to say as much as the fact that therapists are much more in demand than physicians. So there are Panchakarma technical courses available for therapists to do, where you do not require a lot of theory studying. There are certified courses, and the way these certified therapists are absorbed in all of these spas or wellness centers, and also very serious Ayurvedic practice and alternative medicine practice areas abroad too, is amazing. The speed at which they are absorbed. So for people who want to see this as a second career apart from their mainstream, and they like being a part of the wellness industry, they should think of um, uh, these courses which are available even in the Northeast. So uh, once upon a time, the Northeast was not open to mainstream Ayurveda. Right now, we have a center. Right from 2016 onwards, the center is opened up, where they have a government institute which is employing the Ayurvedic practitioners, and they also offer a course for BMS, and they offer a course in Shillong. Yes, so they offer a course also for the Panchakarma technicians. So this is one more thing. Of course, abroad, most Ayurvedic physicians are doubling up as the therapists, because they do not get staff there, trained staff. So they perform all the therapies themselves. But then there is a very high demand for therapists abroad too. As far as the other options are concerned, you can Ayurvedic graduates and diploma holders also can work in the pharma industry, in the drug and manufacturing industry. They can go into academics, they can go into this research and development, they can get papers published in very reputed and authentic medical research institutions, which have periodicals like bi-monthly, and they're very reputed, and also they are being read abroad too by for cross referencing by even allopathic medical practitioners. By they collaborate with research institutes abroad too. So that is the way to go if you are like academician, or if you wanted to go into the R&D side. Of course, there is the final area of private practice. That itself is going to flourish. Of course, there's no reason in mentioning that. So you do not have to be employed by somebody else. But private practice takes a longer time to establish. But then it is the way to go if you want to set the standards yourself. Because I have done private practice ever since I established my clinic in 2002, And I know that there is a lot more R&D possible when you are not employed under somebody else. So you will be able to call the shots, you will be able to do authentic research, you will be able to collect data, and you will be much more confident in educating someone else about that particular disease or that particular arena, because you have done it, you have seen it all. So private practice is also booming, provided you do not do the way to go for Ayurvedic practitioners is to be authentic to the system of Ayurveda and not try to mix some other system of medicine into it, not try to add some allopathic drugs into it for emergency, because that is not your forte. Right? So if it is practiced purely, what happens is that there is a lot more trust from the educated public on an Ayurvedic doctor who is authentically Ayurveda and does not do any mixed kind of practice. So the private practice is the final way to go if you want to. That happens both abroad as well as a lot of my colleagues are doing private practice in all these countries that I have mentioned very successfully.
And in India as well?
In India, of course. India, there is a lot more competition because you have a lot more graduates who are settled here doing private practice. But apart from that, you can carve a niche for yourself if you trust in yourself and go the entire path and not stop midway and expect Ayurveda to do something for you. Because it is already there. Everything is already there. It is about how you use techniques. And I would like to finish with saying that it's individual. The skill set you develop, the communication skills, your marketing skills, your ability to learn and to grasp concepts and implement them, I think these are going to take prospective students a longer way than just what a degree or diploma can do for you. So that would be my final take on that.
So you've told us a lot today. We've had a lot to think about, a lot to go over, and I think our students will have gotten very deep insights into the industry, but also with your past experiences and everything else that you've been through. So is there anything, one final message, one final word of advice or something that comes to mind that you would like to share with the next generation of Ayurvedic doctors?
I think basically what I would love for the future phase of Ayurveda to be like is to be honest and truthful, and I think they should be in pursuit of truth, because truth is above all these perceptions, and they should try to break a lot of myths surrounding Ayurveda. There are a lot of false claims, a lot of myths, which is completely destroying the credibility in the public eye as far as Ayurveda is concerned. So I would love for the future generations to pursue the actual truth, which is not laced with any kind of exaggeration, and because Ayurveda and its principles are enough. We do not need to add to it.